Alright, welcome everyone to my IDC 45 tournament report. This video will cover the deck I brought to the tournament as well as the tournament matches themselves. So this is different to how I usually do it, where I just cover each match separately on its own, and moving forward from now on this will be the format I am going to use, because the previous format takes too much time for me, commentating over every single match separately, making a thumbnail for every single one, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to have a mini deck profile at the beginning and at the end perhaps, and then just cover each match one by one, all in one go, sped up 4 to 5 times. So yeah, so this is the deck I brought to the tournament. The previous list had three cards different. It had a Spiral Gate instead of Typhoon, it had a Soul Gala instead of Snorkla, and it had a Cranium Clamp instead of a 4th Gigasalt. So right away I wanted to find a way to make the build better against controls. This was an era where Fortress Burn was still a threat, and Light Dark Nature control started to rise up in the meta. So I really wanted something to counter that. Oh yeah, and 4-Boss also started to implement Fortress Shells in their own builds. Light Dark Nature Control also has 1 or 2 copies of Fortress in its builds as well, so that was the reason for including Snorkla, replacing the Soul Gala with a more proactive creature that has some utility like Snorkla. It can counter all those random 1 of 2 of Fortresses that people just splash in control decks nowadays. The reasoning for it, the Typhoon, was I wanted something to smooth out the starting curve against pretty much everything, but mainly to smooth out the Chimera curve, because sometimes I will just see the evolutions without the baits, sometimes just the baits without the evolution. So the idea is, if I can play Emergency Typhoon before these cards are drawn, I have 2 extra draws to see them together, or see a better curve, like see Mistrias a bit quicker, or Ice Vapor or whatnot. And it proved itself to be quite a good card, to be honest. Also, I don't mind the downside of discarding 1 card, because I have so many dead cards against control. All these Laura Gigas, and sometimes even the Paleoliths, if it's not a fire control, I can just discard, put them in the grave. And against Rush, I can play it. It can be out of shields or even Hardcaster if I have nothing better. Can draw into more blockers, snares, whatnot, and discard stuff like Ice Vapors or extra Gigasalts. So yeah, it's actually it didn't perform too badly, I would say. And the reason for the 4th Gigasalt was because again, this ties back against my desire to make the deck a bit better against control. Cranium Clamp is just makes them discard the worst cards in the deck, while Gigasalt discards a random card, and then it's a threat itself which forces the opponent's hand and forces the opponent to have an answer for Gigazald itself. That means one less answer card for Mistrias if I happen to follow it up after Gigazald, so yeah, that's the reason I really wanted to make for Gigazald's work. But without further ado, let's jump straight into the matches and see how it went. Okay, so the first match was up against Maka, who is playing Light Dark Nature Control, and I'm playing Light Water Dark Hydro Hurricane with Gigazald. I won the die roll, but I don't have any relevant plays on turn 3. Discarding a Petrova with Gigabalza, then discarding a Terror Pit with Gigazald. He will play Petrova, boosting Ikaz, and then I'm gonna discard an Ice Vapor. Unfortunately, he has another Terror Pit for my Gigazald, but he does have to play the Vapor Tax. Managed to get out another Gigazald. And here's my newest tech in the deck, Emergency Typhoon, which allows me to just sift through my cards and just to see my relevant cards quicker. I'm going to play Hydro here just to discard the Ikaz and the Skysword from his field. And I don't mind that the Petrova kills the Ice Vapor because I can run it over. I do have a stream for the Mistrias, which I can just discard out of the shields. He will play Slash Charger, but will have to pay the Vapor Tax for it. And now I'm just waiting for Mistrias. He's playing Phobos, so at this point he took a Soul Swap, so okay, so instead of getting rid of one of my threats, he decides to go for Fortress Shell. But I'm gonna play Petrova here to boost Chimeras, and gonna need to charge this Snare so I can play Miraculous Plague. Luckily he didn't draw an answer for my threats, and I'm gonna be getting rid of his Fortress and one of his Darkness manas. He played Morbid Medicine, paid the Vapor Tax just to stick a Ikaz, which I'm now going to discard with a Hydro. Playing Soul Swap and playing all these spells really punished him with the Ice Vapor Taxes. And I finally see a Mistrias with a Laura Giga. He's playing Otto side, but at this point I can just get rid of it with a Terror Pit. Yeah. So here I play Miraculous Plague just to push my advantage, go trade in. Could have probably gone in with the Marrows as well. Playing Slash Charger, getting rid of another Hydro, but here I have a Gigazald, so I can just discard the cards in his hand. He's asking me if Marrows dies if it taps to use the effect, but it doesn't because Marrows only dies if it attacks the player. And tapping to use ability is different to that. So I discard Terror Pit and Soul Swap, which is really good for me because that means no answer for Gigazald. And he just scoops. He says he had Soul Swap, so he could have stopped the Ikaz in, but then again I could just play around it by attacking with the smaller guys first. Here I do play Emergency Typhoon, allowing me to get rid of Bilex, which is a brick against all subdecks. And I do play a Gigazald, sniping a Petrova. But unfortunately for me, he managed to hold on to a Soul Swap, which not only gets rid of Gigazald, but also gives him a draw. For Mistrias, Gigaballs is gonna type Charmilia, but With Mistrias in play for 3 turns already, he definitely took away this game from me. He's playing Fortress here. And now I have to get rid of Mistrias, but I also have to pay the Vapor tax. And now he has so many threats on the board that every time I get rid of one, I have to pay the Vapor tax. Now here I place Snorkla just so he cannot mana burn me. It's a good way to stop one threat without having to pay the tax for Ice Vapor. Even uses a Soul Swap on it, signaling that he has mana burn. Now I kinda have to get rid of this as Photosite, otherwise it's just gonna keep eating my creatures, but I decide to play Petrova instead. I finally decide to get rid of the Photosite, but I think he's got this game in the bag. He has a Terror Pit for Mistrias, and I don't think there's a way for me to finish in time. All the creatures that can attack cost too much mana so I can only play them one by one, and I only have 5 turns to do so. So he can play Slash Chargers and just take me out pretty quickly. Gonna play 4 boss, probably grabbing either a Soul Swap or Terror Pit. Yeah, so he can either mana burn me or... Okay, so he's playing Holy Awe, forcing me to play these cards, so Yeah, so he's boosting Soul Trooper with Petrova. I do have this Miraculous Snare for it. But he top decks Terror Pit for my Gigazald, which now means I cannot afford to go in with creatures to discard shields. Even though my Chimeras are boosted and my Guardians, his Guardians are also boosted, and his Fortresses also match my Geopalsas, especially if he finds a way to get rid of Pala. Okay, and he even has Slash Charger to get rid of my Miraculous Plague, and I don't think I'm finishing this game in 1 turn. I do have 6 attackers, but he has the B-Legs to stand in the way. And he saw my deck, and he saw that I don't have any more removal. Don't have any more removal creatures in removal cards in my deck, so it's with no way to get rid of B-Legs. I can put it in shields, but there was even a Terror Pit, so even then I would have lost. Then on the second game I go first, and I decide to charge the Mistrias, and here I do the biggest misplay of this game by not charging the Miraculous Snare, because yeah, I want to hold it for if he plays Mistrias, but now I don't have water mana for this energy stream, so I don't have a play now when I could have had one. So I definitely shot myself in the foot by not charging the snare when I could have. Having those 2 extra cards would have been quite good. I do have a Third Pit for his Mistrias. Now he swaps in his own Mistrias. Gonna have to play We draw 2 bounces, Mistrias. Yeah, I should play Hydra to bounce the Mistrias and then play a Laura Giga of my own. Now he's playing Fortress and kinda have to play this Miraculous Snare on the Fortress. Now he's gonna Soul Sup Mistrias back in, play Ikas, draw some more stuff. Here I'm putting a Gigasal on the field, discarding another Rias and a Fortress, which is not bad. Playing Dimension Gate, getting Petrova, boosting Soul Trooper, trying to kill the Gigasal. But he does manage to trade the Bronze Trap into Marus. And at this point I decide to play Miraculous Plague to get rid of Mistrias. And I even giving the Photosite because it's his only darkness source. He's even asking where the dark mana is, and he finally gets an Ice Vapor charge into the mana. At this point I decide to play Snorkla just to avoid being mana burned. And I get rid of that Photoside with Terror Pit, discarding another Ikas and he tries to mana burn me with Fortress, but I use Snorkla's ability to put the mana back where it belongs. At this point I'm just setting up a Petrova and a Palaolisis, discarding a Bilex. And I really have to start setting up more attackers. He does have a Soul Swap for Gigasal, unfortunately. And I really... Okay, so I play Hydro Hurricane, and I leave him with Laura Giga. But he has a Terror Pit in the very far shields, so yeah. I don't know why I charged that Mistrias. I could have really used extra attacker at this point. But I was in a hurry to use Hydro Hurricane, I suppose. And now only Petrova can attack because Mistrias has Summoning Sickness and the Giga Pulsas cannot get past Bilex. I definitely should have used the Snare on Bilex and just to be able to go in with the Giga Pulsas, because now he's playing Slash Charger. And yeah. Yeah, I was too afraid of swap for Ikas, but yeah, that was another misplay. Not taking advantage of my attackers when I can. So yeah, maybe I could have won this game. Definitely, if I charged the Snare to have the mana for stream, and if I used the Snare on this Bilex at the end, there was probably a chance, but it is what it is. So yeah, that was the first game. And now we're on to the second match of the tournament, where we're up against MrDelacerna, who is piloting Light Water Nature mid-range tribal deck with Mistrias Engine, and he won the die roll with a Bronze Tribe on turn 3. I did get a Emergency Typhoon to sift through my cards, and I get rid of Snorkla because I don't expect mana burn from him. He's ramping with Sky Sword, and I get to set up Gigasalt, but he has the Craze Valkyrie to get rid of both the Palaolisis and the Gigaslug. Now I do set up a Mistrias, but he has another removal for Mistrias in the form of a Soul Swap. He sets up his own Mistrias, I get rid of it, Now he plays Bronze Arm, sets up Magris, drawing a card. And now I don't have a play because I don't really wanna play Plague on Bronze Arm Tribe and Magris. It would just give him another draw. Do discard a Soul Swap with Gigabarza, so that's pretty good. At this point I really wanna see another Mysterious or Energy Stream. I finally have a target for Miraculous Plague because he summons Blue Marquis. He's definitely destroying Sarius and keeping the Blue Marquis. He really wants to use it against me. That's why he resummons it. At this point I'm really thinking if I wanna play Hydro just to bounce the Arceus, but I kinda wanna discard him, but I end up sniping a MrDelacerna which comes straight onto the field. Yes, he's playing another Blue Marquis and here's a Gigabarza which I can use, and here's another big misplay. Probably the biggest misplay I did in the match against him was playing Miraculous Plague instead of Hydro Hurricane, which would have bounced 4 mana, setting him back to 3, and he would have bounced, yeah, all the double breakers, but because now he has enough mana left for Holio, then he can just go for game. That was definitely a big misplay. I could have played Plague after Hydro anyway, so it is what it is. Another match potentially losing to a misplay. Yeah, in my head the two blooms look very juicy targets for Miraculous Plague, but Hydro Hurricane would have just been objectively better in that scenario. I do have a Mystery set up, so I can play Craze Valkyrie, discarding Gigazal, discarding Craze. Now he can kill all of my creatures with the Craze Valkyrie, Petrova and Hulkus. Now I can only summon an Ice Vapor here, which doesn't really do much against his deck. He doesn't play too many spells. Playing Emerald doesn't use the effect, and I get a Gigabalza out of shields, discarding the Charmeleon. At this point I kinda have to use Miraculous Plague to get rid of the double breaker. And he destroys the Craze Valkyrie, which is a very interesting choice. Playing Aqua Holkus and Sarius, going for the last 2 shields. And here I really have to find a way to survive. I can crush the Gigabarza into Emerald, then I have to worry about 2 creatures, so I kinda need to summon 3 blockers or Nair and 2 blockers just to play around removal. Because he's going to be on 6 mana next turn, so pretty much any removal card in his deck will be live. I could potentially risk it and play Rias with Laura Giga and use Snare on the Aqua Holkus. But I end up playing, Hydro Hurricane just to set him back. Because if I just summon Mystrias, I will die to any removal. Something I didn't consider when I made this play was that Petrova could just keep going over my blockers. So not knowing if he would have had removal that turn, I didn't end up going for Mistria setup. It was too risky, but maybe the risk would have paid off if he didn't have any kind of removal, though with the amount of cards in his deck that can act as removal, Surfer, Spiral Gates, Holio, Craze Valkyrie, even Soul Swap, so didn't want to take the chance. I'm even playing Hydro Hurricane here, and I'm setting my Giga Balsa in the shields. Playing Aqua Holkus and he doesn't go in for shields, but now if he has Spiral Gate or Soul Swap, he can just win. Yeah, he has Soul Swap for the B-Legs and now he can just go for game. Yeah, don't know if he had removal during that turn when I was thinking to summon Mistrias, but maybe I should have taken the chance. I would have been in a much better position if I managed to survive that turn. But yeah, that was the second match, so far we're down 2 matches. So yeah, the third match, my opponent couldn't make it, so I was granted the match 2-0 because of absence. He would have played Fire Nature Rush, so we would have most likely won against him anyway. And yeah, we'll see you in the fourth match. Right, so our fourth match was up against Death Onion 404, who was piloting Lightwater Darkness Iluzonius deck with Hydrus in it as well, so that's definitely something I have to watch out for, because if he has a board and plays Hydrus, he can all of a sudden just go through everything. Probably plays Holio as well, I'm not sure. Playing Gigapalza here, discarding a Marinomancer, which is a really good hit, and now he's attacking with Windmill Mutant. And I'm actually going to block that because I don't want to keep discarding cards. But now I seriously get multi-screwed, so I can't even evolve the Gigabalza to attack the Sirion, and I do end up managing to do it, to run over Petrova. He gets 3 cards off of Marinomancer, and at this point I'm just going to play Miraculous Plague. He's skipping the Marinomancer and I discard a Windmill Mutant. He's most likely just gonna play Marinomancer this turn. And at this point I think I'm just gonna keep playing Miraculous Plague, giving back. Maybe I'll give back the evolutions. Yeah, so he's keeping the Hydrus. Gyuzal is gonna hit another Windmill Mutant. He has a Sirion, so I'm just gonna Terror Pit it, discard a Propeller Mutant. And now he's not playing Marinomancer anymore because he doesn't wanna deck himself out. At this point I think I could. I think I want to attempt to discard the Hydrus, because if he evolves that, he can just kill my Gyuzal. I don't hit it, but I do hit a Petrova. It's trying to attack the Gyuzal and I have to let it through, unfortunately. I do have a double snare for the 2 Adrians. Just gonna play Corpse Charger, get back another Propeller Mutant. But he's getting Holio with Marinomancer. And at this point I am getting a Belex, but I can't really use Snare because you will still have two creatures to go in with, and one of them is Petrova. I don't play Holio in my deck, so if he goes in with one of his remaining attackers after he plays Holio and then goes in with Petrova, I'm dead anyway, so I just accept that I lost this match. And we move on to the second game, where I am on the play, starting things with an energy stream, and he decides to just ramp with Venom Charger to Marinomancer, but I discard it with Gigabalza. Now he's just going to go in with the boosted Hedrians. And at this point I am going to just run out Gigaslug and a Palaolysis. He does have the Mutant Emperor now, which allows the Hedrians to go in unblocked. I really need to find a way to get rid of them, otherwise I'm just gonna be dead. I don't have a blocker. I luckily draw into a Miraculous Snare, which allows me to snare the Hydrus, the Windmill Mutant. Thankfully he didn't have Holio in his hand. And but he's on 4 mana now, so this allows me to just play a Laura Giga and then play, or even 2 Laura Gigas, then play Hydro Hurricane, bounce everything except the Petrova. Now I can't really afford to go in because he might have a Holio in shields, which would give him the win. So what I have to do here is snare one of my blockers. Snare one of my blockers. Then start to go in with my creatures. I think I want to play Miraculous Plague this turn, but I end up just playing another, discarding Belex, Syrian Propeller and Holio. Playing Belex here, so don't know why I keep summoning creatures. So I'm playing Hydro Hurricane, discarding so many cards, leaving him on just 1 card in hand. And I end up snaring my Laura Giga and finally starting to go in. Playing around Holio by having a shield for this Petrova, and I take the second game. I start things off with a Laura Giga, and I have a Palaolysis here, just standing away of Windmill Mutant, but now he can just go in with boosted Hedrians. I do get a Gigabalza. But he didn't have any cards in hand, so the Gigabalza doesn't snipe anything. But it's still a good thing because it's a darkness creature for Hydro Hurricane. At this point I'm actually thinking of just using Miraculous Snare on Propeller and Windmill, because they have annoying effects. So now it's only the Locomotiver that can go in, and I just have to hope he doesn't top deck another removal. He does get a Call on the Oracle. He doesn't go in with Petrova, which is very strange because he could have killed my Palaolysis. Maybe he's afraid of losing it. Summon a Laura Giga, and then I stop the Colon, which is now boosted by Petrova as well. At this point I'm playing 2 Gigaslugs, a Belex, and getting back the Hydro Hurricane, which I can use to set him back. tapping 2 mana, so that's either, yeah, Propeller or Emerald. I block the colon with a Giga Slug. Now I don't really have... I already used 2 Miraculous Snares, so I don't really have 2 extra snares to set creatures in the way of the Petrova, so I just have to go in and hope there's no Holy Oaths in the shields. And I am definitely thinking about playing Hydro here. This point I decide not to go in, I decide to wait for another Hydro. Not sure why I just play Miraculous Plague, maybe I want to prevent him from playing Emerald. By giving back the Hedrians from the shields. At this point I end up summoning Gearbalza, and I hit a bingle unfortunately. I'm setting the Propeller Mutant in the shields to play around Hydrus. He does have a Windmill Mutant. Playing a Palolysis, Laura Giga, and then I'm playing Miraculous Plague to keep him away from summoning Hydrus, and at this point I decide to just go in, because otherwise I lose 2 Hydrus inevitably anyway, so I have to take my chances and just hope there's no Holy Oaths in the shields. At this point I'm just going in, and thankfully there was no Holy Oath in the last shield either, so I take this match 2-1. So now I'm up to get 2 matches and down 2 matches, so I need to win the next match to have a chance at top cut. Alright, so now we're on to the final Swiss match of IDC 45, but I'm up against Otto at the top of his screen, who is on Live Water Dark Nature Fortress Burn with a Rias engine, and yeah, still on the same deck. I didn't swap it. He ramps into Petrova boosting Beast Folks, which is a problem because he can just slam the Bronze Tribe into a Gigazalt, but I don't mind that. And it's interesting he's playing Aqua Holkus instead of streaming this build. He did have a Terror Pit for my Mistrias, unfortunately. I reminded him to pay the Vapor tax there. And here's the Snorkla, which I'm setting up to avoid being mana burned. And at this point he's even thinking of going in. And he goes in with Bronze Tribe and Petrova. I kinda have to get rid of one of the attackers. And here I forget that I can just put the card I used on Ice Vapor back on the field with Snorkla, because the way it works is if the opponent causes my mana to go in the grave, even if it's something like Ice Vapor, which is passive effect, I can still take the card and put it back in the mana zone. And what's more is I can put the mana in untapped, so I can reuse it. So I end up playing a Petrova boosting Ghosts to kill the Petrova, but that's going to boost his own Ice Vapor as well. Maybe I could have won this game if I used the Snorkla's ability. the top deck's Miraculous Plague, unfortunately. So now he can afford to just go in, and unfortunately for me I don't have any more creatures I can play. I can use Snare on one of the attackers, but I'm boosting the Ice Vapor with my own Petrova. So now we're on to game 2, where I start things with Energy Stream, and I have a nice curve of Mistrias, the Giga Salt, discarding Mistrias. He gets it back with Corpse, then I discard a Foul. I play my own Mistrias, which gives him a draw. I discard a Fortress here. Like he plays Soul Swap on my own Mistrias for Elex. Then I discard a Surfer. He tries to kill my Gigazald with Hulkus. And now I just have to charge the Marrows. Okay, I think I know why I'm not playing, because I want to discard both cards in the mana zone with both the Marrows and Gigasal, so he's off of nature mana now. I am going to play Mistrias into Laura Giga. Now he has Petrova boosting Beastfolk, and I don't remember what the other one boosted, maybe Liquid People. Playing Corpse Charger, getting back Hulkus, but I'm just gonna discard it next turn. I'm just going to set up another Gigasal. Okay, so I just end up playing Hydro, setting back to 3, so he cannot remove my stuff with Terror Pit top deck. So here I'm just gonna evolve Gigasalt and discard Soul Swap and Aqua Surfer, which is nice because now he cannot use the Soul Swap to remove something. Here I'm just gonna play Ice Vapor, discard both the Plague and the Lost Soul. And now I'm just gonna play on the second Ice Vapor. At this point, anything he plays, he has to discard 2 mana, 2 cards from his hand. And yeah, that's the second game. Now we're on to the final deciding game. He's gonna be on the play, and I'm on the draw with an Energy Stream turn 3. Luckily for me, he did miss a turn 3 play, only top decking a Dimension Gate on turn 4, which is probably gonna use to get a Mistrias. At this point I managed to discard the Mistrias with Giga Balsa. So he's gonna play Petrova, boosting Liquid People, which I discard one of them. He's playing Sky Sword, and I have to set up the Ice Vapor at this point, and that's why he's playing Hulkus, so he doesn't die to Ice Vapor. This was during a time when people played Ice Vapor quite a lot to counter Fortress. Playing Petrova here, boosting the Ice Vapor. At this point I can just set up the Mistrias as well. And I'm thinking between playing Miraculous Plague or Mistrias, and I think it's worth using it on the Beastfolks, which are boosted. No, actually it's the Liquid People, so I have to use it on Aqua Hulkus. I end up just playing Mistrias and discarding a Corpse Charger. Now he's playing Soul Swap. There's many options. He could get rid of Rias, but he has to pay the vapor tax for it. Now I'm just gonna play Plague, getting rid of his water and darkness. And now I have a second Ice Vapor. I even discard a shield, which I thought I said with Snare, but it was just a Sky Sword shield, but it doesn't matter because most shield triggers will result in him having to discard 2 cards, and yeah, I just go for game, discard the shield one by one. So yeah, I end up winning this match, so I am up 3 games and down 2 games at the end of this Swiss round. Right, so unfortunately for me, even though I went 3-2, I didn't end up making top cut, because after all I did end up just losing the first 2 matches of the Swiss rounds, and if you lose the first 2 matches of the Swiss rounds, your chances of making top cut are very, very, very slim. So this was to be expected, that I wouldn't make it to top. But you know, maybe if I didn't make those misplays against Maker, where I didn't charge the snare, even though it was my only water. To have water if I do end up drawing energy stream or not using the other snare against the Bilex at the end, so my Gigabalsas could actually get some attacks in. Maybe that match would have turned out differently. Or the big one against MrDelacerna, where I used Miraculous Plague instead of just using Hydro to set him back further and playing around Holio. Maybe that would have turned out differently. Just kind of hoping here, I'm not sure, but definitely could have improved my piloting there a bit. But I was pretty satisfied with how Emergency Typhoon performed against the final matches, and even against the matches I lost, to be honest. Snorkla, oh yeah, the Snorkla, I actually managed to use its effect once against Maka, and against Otto, I didn't really use it to its fullest potential, because I just didn't know you could use it against Ice Vapor. Because, yeah, technically, yes, you do choose the mana for Ice Vapor, but it's the opponent that causes the card to be put into your graveyard from your mana zone, even though you choose the card. So it still works against Ice Vapor, which means I could have just returned that card in the mana. And what's more, like I said in the video against him, you can return it untapped, so you can actually kind of reuse it, turning Ice Vapor into more of a benefit at times instead. And I think a big issue with this build was not having the 4th Giga Slug. I think if you, even with the Emergency Typhoon, if I wanna see Gigazald on top of something by turn 5, I do need a 4th Giga Slug, so 8 Chimera Baits paired with 4 energy streams and 1 Typhoon. That should be alright. And yeah, maybe Snorkla, I might think about keeping it in or changing it, I'm not sure. But yeah, other than that, I'll see what, if I do make any changes, I will cover them in the next tournament report. So yeah, that was the tournament. This was the deck. This was the outcome. And until next time, yeah.